is your boy, Better Do Better, along with my co-host, KaliCosplay. The time has arrived. Yes, let's all take a bow. Let's take a deep breath. Episode 8, the finale is here. What you all wanted to see has happened, and I was fucking right.
Wait, how do I change my name on here? Because I have to change it. Hold on.
Oh my God. Don't mess up a good thing, Luke.
Sorry. No, I have to. I'm a man of my word. I got to change it on everything.
Oh, hold on. He's got to change
Go
it.
to the participant.
That's right. So, yeah, so we finally got to our...
He has to change it because Better Do Better and Luke or Padwan or Shilwan or whatever his fucking name is going to be.
It's right there.
Had a bet. And I had it with Annex as well. So you make sure when you see Fantasy Annex or Fantasy Shillix, he changes his name because I told y'all Halbrand was Sauron. I told you that from episode 2. So today, guys, we are going to be talking about our feelings and all things related to episode 8, the finale of Rings of Power. The finale of Rings of Power. We are at the sad end to the first season of the Rings of Power, and we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to open the floor up to Kali, who's going to, put us where we need to be, and we're going to just get into it. Let's jump right into it.
Yeah. So this season, for me anyway, went by so fast. I can't believe we're already here. For listeners, if you're looking for our reactions to episode 7, don't look no further. We didn't do any because we had New York Comic-Con last week and things were hella busy and we were running around like crazy. So
much fun.
But it was so much fun, and we got to see each other and meet each other, and it was amazing. So this will be, so we can incorporate some of episode 7 into this, but really, yeah, this is our finale, our ultimate episode covering the Rings of Power, which is bittersweet, I'm sure, for a lot of you. The episode had 2 major reveals, which we will get to. One of them that I was pretty happy with, and one of them that I don't know, I felt like they were just hitting me over the head repeatedly with a frying pan with it. They were just nah, accept this. So I'll open the floor to guests.
We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it, yeah. Did anybody else have big smashing feelings about the finale?
My biggest feeling is in relation to the Halbrand Galadriel. I don't know if we want to just go out and say
go it. Say it.
Fuck it, do it.
The Halbrand Galadriel scene. I am personally still very much on the struggle bus as far as the way that they chose to present that scene. And we are just if we're all on the same page, reveals his true identity to Galadriel after she really presses him, and he's like, "You know who I am." And I mean, and I do want to caveat this with the actors did beautiful performances, and to a point, I understand why they decided to go the way that they do. Particularly thinking about the scene in Lothlorien with Galadriel and Frodo. They do talk about Galadriel knowing Sauron's mind and that kind of thing. So I understand that they wanted to draw a connection between those two through this season. What's really sticking in my craw is that they give Halbrand or Sauron or whatever Salbrand, I don't know what you want to call him, but he says to her that I would make you a queen, fair as the sea and the sun, stronger than the foundations of the earth. Yes. And these are lines that Galadriel says to Frodo when he offers her the One Ring. And the reason it is really bothering me is that I think it calls into question her kind of allowing the rings to be made, knowing that Sauron was a part of it. I think it's kind of like, I think it's odd for her as a character, but I also think that just in thinking about her whole journey, her whole character arc, that this is she does say to Frodo that she has thought about what she would do, how if this, you know, she would ever get the One Ring. And I feel like the moment that she has with Frodo is really her realizing this about herself for the first time, kind of why she like has this kind of outburst. And we see this kind of with Boromir as well, but like with Galadriel, it's like on a bigger scale, you know, and she has this moment where she's like, oh shit, I would be really terrible. You know what I mean? And then she calms down and she's like, I passed the test. But in this, we already see her like rejecting Sauron and rejecting that offer of the power. So it's like they moved the test, but it's like, I don't know. I'm like struggling to find all the words that I want to say for this, but it's just like, I think that it diminishes that moment with Frodo a little bit. And I think that it confuses her character arc in ways that I don't particularly love.
I disagree.
Thoughts?
I think you're connecting
Fine.
the rings. I think you're connecting the rings with Galadriel and Sauron. I think you're connecting the rings in the Rings of Power as a show right now with Galadriel, when she just is like, she knows that what they're doing with those rings and how they're trying to preserve the elves. She doesn't really honestly know if Halbrand did anything to the rings at this point. She just knows that he's Sauron.
But he tells her.
He doesn't tell her shit about the rings. He doesn't tell her that.
Yeah, but she physically sees him working with Celebrimbor.
But at this
The
point,
first time
she sees him working on the rings, but I'm sorry, but the first she sees him working on the rings, but he legitimately says, I am trying to heal the hurts of the world. She just knows that he's Sauron and is not accepting of that. Other than that, he hasn't lied to her, he said, and she acknowledges that.
Where I'm kind of with Andy, though, is her first inkling of suspicion comes when they're talking about the rings. When she hears Celebrimbor saying the line from Adar. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but that's just her recognition that this might be Sauron. He still might be out to help, but he hasn't lied to her yet. So there's that. Then there's the guilt of her bringing Sauron there. All of these things, and really the rings have nothing to do with it. She's like, all right, these are going to preserve. Can these help fight against him? Okay, let's make the 3. Boom. Now, when Anatar comes, and then they figure out, they're like, oh shit, these rings are actually for this. Oh fuck, that's completely different. And then that's going to happen. You understand? That's completely different.
I get it. I think that like it's like I don't love it. Like I could see why they did it, but I think that my biggest problem is like the word choice of like how he reveals it to her. I think it's because it implies that she takes those words and then repeats them back to Frodo. But I don't like that. I don't like that it would be like Sauron.
But that's exactly what it would be. Gandalf says the same thing. He'd say, I'd replace the Dark Lord. So if it's in the same vein as the Dark Lord, and he said that to her, then I'd be as beautiful as the sea and blah, 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 and stronger than the foundation of the earth. It makes sense that he said that to her. And then when she's thinking about it, like, I'd be that. Like, shit, like this is what Sauron was saying. Oh, you know what?
But if she already knew that she would be that, then like, how is it this impactful moment in Fellowship?
Frodo didn't know she would be that. So her saying that to Frodo didn't know that. It's more for Frodo and herself too, but she got to see herself, like, because she still wanted the ring regardless of whatever she knowing anything, she still wanted it. Like everybody knows the ring is evil, but Boromir knows the ring is evil. They tell him, they're like, yo, dude, this ring is evil. Dude, the ring is going to do this. He still wants it because he wants to do good with it. And Gandalf says, it's from my wanting to do good with this ring that I'd actually be the most dangerous with the ring. So it's not the knowledge of what the ring could do, it's the allure of the ring. And that's exactly what, you know what I'm saying, is the problem. And that's what she's fighting, and she resists it. And then she's like, you know what? I can go into the West. I passed the test because she could have took the shit and killed Sauron.
Well, what I read it as is like she's thought about this for a long time, but it's also like you've never had that like actual moment of like, what would you do given the chance? You know what I mean? And it's like she has this huge realization about herself kind of like in front of Frodo, and then that's where she's like, all right, like that's the truth of the matter. You know what I mean? She probably entertained some ideas of like, no, like I can handle it. Like I struggle with Sauron already. You know what I mean? But then it's like that moment is where she's like, fuck, like I couldn't do it. And then she had, and then so she's like, I will remain Galadriel and, you know, go into the West. So it just, it just makes me feel like they're trying to move the test too early a little bit with how Brand's saying that to her.
Fair.
That's fair. That's fair assessment.
I think it's important to like realize who's offering it. In this scene, it's Sauron offering, "Hey, come join me, and you know, I'll bind you to the power, you bind me to the light." And she hates Sauron.
He's like, "Fuck
so
you."
She's like, "No, I'm not going to do that."
Right.
But in Fellowship of the Ring, it's Frodo, someone that is not Sauron, offering her, you know, the power, and it's different. It's a different dynamic because it's not Sauron attached to the ring. It's her having the ring without Sauron.
And what she could do with that ring to Sauron, because
that's a good point.
Initially.
That's a good point.
Intention. She's like, oh, I could kill Sauron with this, but I'd be corrupted and I'd be worse than Sauron. You know what? I'm gonna remain Galadriel because I know what, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I see but I also see what you're saying as well. I'm not invalidating what you're saying. I see it, but I'm just seeing it from different angles. So I just why I
I know that's why I like struggled to like talk about it before, and like that's why I wanted to like be here today to like just go through it with you guys.
For
sure. And we applaud you because Andy's very sick right now, and he got me sick.
No, other way around.
He got both of us sick.
Damn it, Belmont.
Over mine, but I think she's in the midst of hers.
Belmont.
Just to keep backing up Andy. What I don't like about it is it's changing the source of the insight that Galadriel has as to who she would become. Now she's essentially like, now if we're believing show canon, she's quoting Sauron. That's fine. Like I agree with you, KnewBetta. Like that like that's cool. That doesn't change that, except for it means that she's less insightful as to who she would be. Like to me, she's passing the test more because she came to that realization just from self-reflection, not from hearing it from the Dark Lord himself.
Yeah, and it's like one of the things that I noticed when I was like kind of trying to work through these thoughts is that like they've been trying to show like Halbrand like pulling her strings the whole season, and it's like, and I think that's fine. You know what I mean? Like I think that's cool. You know, I get why they would want to do that, just for her to be like, oh, fuck, like, how did I fuck up like this? You know what I mean? But then it's just the word choice. And you know, that I feel like they could have had a similar vibe, but for her to repeat it back as it, I don't know, it just, it diminishes it a little bit for me. And it doesn't feel like her moment as much in Fellowship by having it be exactly this, like almost word for word.
Yeah.
Fair.
All right.
My favorite part was staying with Galadriel.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most powerful part is when Celebrimbor is like, I need gold and silver from Valinor, and they use the knife, which, okay, so now we're thinking from the beginning of her arc from episode 1 to where she is now. It is so poetic and so like it's great character development that she is like, I have to give up this so that we can achieve the ultimate goal. Yeah. And she's like, I have to, it's almost like she's like accepting that I cannot be a part of this main goal of destroying Sauron. Like she is taking away from that. And it's so interesting.
I think it's like extra impactful when you think about how just a few episodes ago she said she didn't know who she would be without it, right?
Yes.
And she gives her sword to Theo an episode or two ago, and then she has to melt down the dagger, which is also like, I mean, obviously so symbolic because it like she's been talking about her brother all season, and it's and it's and also Celeborn.
It's
Mhm.
also
Yeah.
like that knife is also kind of like, and the fact that they use it to, and she still has a part. So I mean, those rings are still part of Finrod. Like that's very, very important and very, very symbolic. And she still has it with her. So it's not like she doesn't have that part of Finrod anymore with the knife. She has it with that ring.
It just
Oh my
changed.
god, that's so interesting. Like thinking about like she's been holding on to this, like and just within the context of the show, she's been holding on to this Finrod thing, and it's been her
Yes.
like motivation. But now she like has to share.
Yes.
Mm.
Like it's not just hers anymore. Like she has to bring other people into.
Yeah, and I
into
think that's
this.
great. I think that's great character development from her being so strong-headed in the first episode to her being like, all right, I think I'm and you could see that starting with episode 7, where she is talking about Celeborn with Theo, and she's starting to open up because she is seeing a lot of what of her previous life in Theo. Because if you remember, Theo's like, we should just take them out, we should do this, and she's like, no, wait, like that's like we have, like I've lived a millennia. I know this. I know all these things, and it's like that was the thing that flipped her switch. And then obviously when she encounters Sauron and by the way, Sauron using Finrod, perfect.
That was dope.
Absolutely
That was so
freaking
creepy.
It was
It's
so
very
dope.
Sauron.
Very Sauron. So it's like when I was seeing that, I was like, oh fuck, he's using this against her. Like that's perfect. Because the
would.
only way that you can get Galadriel to be on your side is by using Finrod. Finrod is your in to Galadriel. Either that or Celeborn, but we don't really know much about Celeborn in the show right now. So
Yeah.
Finrod is more of the like catalyst for what she's trying to accomplish. And it's just so amazing. I love Galadriel as a whole arc, from being this badass warrior to now being able to kind of do like the Mr. Miyagi and put down the sword and finding a new way to fight, to be a part of this fight. You know what I mean?
I never thought that freaking Luke would be so insightful.
Sometimes I amaze even myself.
I am amazed.
I kind of feel it's the opposite. Go on, Nick.
Well, I was
Of
just going to
course.
say to add to Luke. Before Jeff comes and pulls a Jeff.
Damn it, Jeff! I can't have anything nice around here.
Okay, so remember, I can't remember if it was episode 1 or 2 where they're on the boat and getting their armor taken off. I want to say it was the end of 1. That was like all of those elves were ready. They were ready to go across. And yes, she shed her armor and everything, but she couldn't let go of that dagger.
Yep.
Now we see in episode 8, she was ready. So it took the whole season. It just like, fuck the haters who said there was no character development. Like, yeah, there's no character development. It was 2 episodes. Shut up. Now we have 8. Like, it was so good. It was so, that aspect of the writing was so good. Whether you like the reveal, whether you like the characterization, like you cannot fault them for having bad character development for Galadriel by the end of episode 8. It was so good.
You saw even in 7, you saw it in even though I hated the episode, and episode 5 you saw like 4 and 5 you saw like development, like so. I was watching, I was like, I see development there, so you know what I'm saying. I'm on your side there.
Oh yeah.
All right, Jeff,
And I
come
think
on,
it's
go
gonna
ahead.
be great in like season 2. Like honestly, excited to see more of how she grows and changes.
Pull off
Me
the
too.
Band-Aid, Jeff.
Obviously, I understand why Sauron would use Finrod, but and it works initially. But then I think after she realizes who it actually is, and she is reminded of her brother who she loves, it kind of repels her a little bit. Like, no, this is not Finrod. This is not what Finrod wants. And so it has the opposite effect of what Sauron wants. So when he turns away, that's when he's like, he does the scream and he's like, "Look at me," and it changes because that wasn't going to work.
Did you guys
so
see the tweet where it was talking about how Galadriel and Halbrand through most of the season have been positioned similarly in a lot of shots, and she always willingly like turns to him, but then at that point, like he has to be like, "Look at me." I mean, it's very Batman, but where is she?
Great Joker voice.
Rachel.
And it's like,
where are the drugs going?
Where are they hiding the drugs?
Andy is very sick.
It's like during the whole Dark Knight Rises, like when he's like punching brain.
and it's like he has to like force her to look at that point. And the actors are doing the damn thing. Like, I'll give them that. Like,
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So, what other parts were you guys like enamored with? Besides we're gonna talk about the reveals later. Besides the reveals, what other parts of the finale were you guys enamored with?
Harfoots, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
See, okay, so like my whole thing about this whole first season, all right, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, was not interested in the Harfoots until maybe episode this last episode 7. Okay,
Jeff
was not part.
Jeff, can you kick him?
I don't have power here. That's Cowie's thing.
Someone, can we mod this boy on screen?
I personally was not connecting with the Harfoots, right? Like the only thing that I could really connect with them is who's the stranger? Who's the stranger? Who's the stranger? Who's the stranger? But then I think I started a little bit when they started off with them with the song. And I'm like, okay,
that was so
okay,
good.
I'm in. I'm like Poppy is like, if anybody hurts her, they will have to deal with me.
Yeah.
And I will bring down the fucking wrath of I don't know.
Luke.
The wrath of Nebraska.
Yeah. Yeah.
The wrath of Nebraska.
Yeah, I will bring down all that is mighty. But like I just wasn't connecting with them as much as I was connecting with Numenor or the Southlands or Galadriel. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
And like it's not because it wasn't good writing or anything like that. I just wasn't connecting with them. But then when I heard Poppy sing, I was like, it's weird that I connected with that instead of everything else that we were seeing beforehand. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's because I am so used to connecting the hobbits with singing. Because I mean, Merry and Pippin sing, both of them do. Sam sings a song in the books. Frodo recites poems. Like Bilbo sings songs. Like I like musically wise, I like all the music that I hear or I read is mostly hobbits. So I guess that was what really drove me to be like, hey, this is kind of interesting. Maybe I need to give it a little bit more like to look at it at a different lens. So it's like from that episode on, I was like, okay, now I'm a little bit more invested in the Harfoots. And then episode 7 happens. And I'm like, all right, I'm all in on this now. Because it's like the Harfoots are very, very important in this story, as it's been told the entire time, but I just wasn't looking at it that way.
Speaking of character growth, right? Like at the beginning, they're like, fuck the stranger, like I don't like we don't want anything to do with the outside world, and then they willingly go to help him when Nori feels like something isn't right. And it's not just Nori and Poppy this time, you know, it's Nori's whole family, it's Sadek, and it's
I'm surprised that they killed the Harfoot at the end. I thought Gandalf was gonna pull some healing crap because they were really pushing.
He didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, I know how to
do that. Yeah,
he's a little baby Gandalf.
Yeah, we saw him start freezing crap though. Like he just revived. So out of nowhere, he's been doing this stuff.
But
so
I feel
expected
like he
him, and then all of a sudden he just didn't do anything.
Knowing. Yeah,
I feel like, what if everyone was just like bullying, like do your thing, Gandalf, and he's like, just, and he just doesn't know, and like that would have been so awkward.
What are you talking about? I don't even know how to speak English here. What the hell?
The Harfoots were like kept you grounded the entire show. They kept you very much grounded. I felt the connection with them immediately. I was like, okay, I don't feel like I'm on some great grand adventure, and I didn't want to be with them. I was like, this is what a normal person would be dealing with. I'm not Gandalf. I'm not one of the main adventurers. I'm not Legolas shooting a bow. But if I lived in this world and I was like regular shit, all this crazy shit, I'd be like, yo, I'd be one of the hobbits like, yo, what the fuck is going on? All right, like I'm still trying to just survive. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that is the dopest part of the hobbits. And it just grounds you in reality of like, you know, our home, our place, our story in this thing of how can we protect the ones we love and preserve our way of life. You know what I'm saying? That's dear to us, and keep our innocence, which their innocence is what saves everybody in the end of the entire story. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the Harfoots were so important to have, and whoever decided to put them into this show were geniuses for it, because they were one of the most beloved. Like beside Doran, because of his range of emotion, Doran's range of
Yes.
emotion was by far the best out of anyone in the. He had the best range of emotion. The Harfoots
Yes.
were the basis of the heart, and so the
Yes.
Doran the Fourth and the Harfoots were the heart of the entire story. Because I felt Doran when he was sad. I felt him. I was like, damn, he's really dead ass sad. Like he's not even faking. Like he's really.
Yeah.
I felt like he's really upset. But when he joked, I was like, yo, he's funny, bro. He's
Yeah.
genuinely funny.
Legit.
And when he
Yeah.
felt
Legit
hurt,
fun.
he was genuinely hurt. Like he was, his feelings was hurt. Like Elrond hurt my feelings. I was like, how dare you?
Mhm.
Like, you know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, so the way
Yeah.
he conveyed his emotions, very much on par with the hobbits, like the Harfoots, hobbits, whatever you want to call them. Like when they were singing the song for Poppy, like they were like just like, yo, we had to do what we had to do, like to lead them, but we're gonna remember them and just know that, hey, we ain't supposed to be doing all this crazy shit, but let's just worry about tomorrow and getting something to eat and getting a
Yeah.
car across to where it's supposed to be, the simple
Yeah.
things in life. And something big came and they're like, yo, I don't even know what to do with this. And they did what they usually do. They shy away from it. But then one of them said, let's just try to do the right thing with this. Something special is going on here. Just one. They had the heart to do that. And that's indicative of the Turkish side or whatever you want to call it, something queer in the makeup of the hobbits, where one of them from time to time is just like, yo, let's just do this. And
Yeah.
Gandalf saw that in Bilbo, and
Yep.
it's just a great callback. It was great, great writing, great foresight to put them in there. So definitely I was invested in that part of the story. Like when Sonic popped up and stabbed the freaking, I was
Oh
like,
my God.
Yeah. So cool.
I was like,
And
fuck yeah.
Hobbits must be
Yo.
terrifying if you ever like on their bad side.
They're like Ewoks.
They're everywhere. They literally like
They're like
just
Ewoks. like,
resourceful
literally.
little demons. Like how are you supposed to like? Do you see? They're like they blend in with the entire forest.
I mean, and that's funny. What is interesting about that is that at the very beginning, like the very first episode, when they pop up, we see those random ass hunters being like, "Oh,
Yes.
fucking Harfoot!" Like, "Oh, watch out for those
Hey,
guys."
you never run into one of those.
Yeah, and it's like they show you why they said that. You know what I mean? Like,
It's so funny. It's so funny when they say that, and then immediately you see like this like old man's like hobbit face
And
going.
he's like,
I'm like,
"Oh."
how can you be afraid of that? He's just like an old hobbit. It's just so funny because
know.
like when I was
cute.
cutting the reaction to that, I was like, I immediately like, oh, Harfoots, and then I like cut it, and then it was just like him popping up. I'm like, how can you not? Like, what the hell? Come on now.
But you see they vicious though, man. You see my
Oh,
man
yeah.
stab that dude. You see my
They-
man what he did.
Dude, they're like
Yeah.
like baseball pitchers with those freaking 90 mile per hour freaking rocks throwing at people's heads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
that
was a
was a big
great
callback.
throwback to the Hobbit.
That was a big
right?
callback to the
Yeah.
Hobbit, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That
good.
was- So I just want to stop what we're talking about for a second and ask Callie, how are you feeling? Are you weren't feeling well? I just want to make sure that our provider, our everything, Callie is our everything, is okay, and want to just make sure you're good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am reinvigorated with all this wonderful conversation. You guys are awesome. Thank you all for being
Aw.
here.
Well,
Like I
Callie,
know I
you're
usually
awesome.
say
No,
it at the end,
Callie, you bow to no one.
but
Luke, I'm doing the smoothing here. Come on.
Back off.
All right. I'm so glad you're reinvigorated. You're feeling better. Awesome. Do you have let's steer this conversation into another question. I know you got one, and let's keep it going.
I would say one small thing. On behalf of all the cosplayers, 3D printers, and resin makers, the melting of the Galadriel's blade was heartbreaking.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of us are like
Yes.
holding these beautiful daggers that I don't have one yet, but we're
Lee-
so proud
like-
of them,
Lee's
and then
like-
just like it just
She's
gets
looking at
melted.
it. Yeah, Lee's looking at it like, I just got this damn thing. Now I have to melt it down.
You're like, we were gonna have a prop to last us for seasons, but no.
Right.
But also as a cosplayer, the cultists, they were amazing.
Yes.
I loved their outfits. I loved the way they moved. The way they talked was, they really, as I was listening to them, the feelings I got were Queen of the Damned. Like they had this like
Mm.
really fancy
Yeah.
way of pronouncing things, sort of over pronouncing them a little bit.
Like when they said
Yes.
Sauron,
Yeah.
they rolled that R a little bit.
Rune.
Yeah, Rune.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah. Really
They were
nice.
amazing, and and they're gone too.
Yeah.
I
Are
know, but
they?
are they?
Are they?
they?
Oh my God,
No,
Nick.
are
Are
they?
they?
Oh.
By the way, can we because some jackass nerduct, if you're on Twitter, block this guy as quick as you fucking can. He made a comment about, didn't know if there was women Nazguls. First of all, jackass, the Nazgul aren't a thing at this point. First of all.
Right.
Second of all, why does it fucking matter if they are women? Who gives a shit? Like,
God, I hope
don't
they
be.
make all of them women now. Like,
No, I hope so too.
Yep.
Like, who gives a shit? Like, I
Right.
Just so
not-
you know,
yeah.
when they say 9 men, they just mean the race of men.
Yes.
Humans. Yep.
That's what they
Yes.
mean by that. Just so you know, in case you
The
thought you were
Nazgul,
smarter.
there's not a
than
singular like masculine or feminine aspect about them. They're just these race.
Yeah,
shadowy
What is
figure. Yeah.
Yeah,
special about
exactly. I'm just like, God damn. Just stop it. Stop with the fuck. It just tell me you're misogynist without telling me you're misogynist.
That's
tweet
what
right
I'm
there.
saying.
Yeah.
Jesus
Luke,
Christ.
anybody else on your Twitter beef that you want to throw out names of? on this
Not
topic.
right now.
Jeff's got a list,
No.
bruh.
Jeff, you might end up on it if you keep playing me like that.
I
but
mean,
no
I go by
response.
many names. So
I'm known by many names.
That's good.
Just had to pull that out there. When
Jeff
we were
the
talking
Deceiver.
About that.
Yo, y'all gonna stop questioning my boy Luke, man. When he tells y'all something, man. First of all, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, Galadriel is older than Celebrimbor, man. So put that shit to bed. Whoever wrote that shit, man, get over yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My
Definitely.
God, that
Know what he's
comment.
talking about.
People are
comment.
unhinged.
They are. It's like,
And they be saying this
Twitter.
shit with confidence with their whole chest. They be like, yeah, nah.
That's the
I
right.
know.
Remember-
It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm like, you should be in some kind of scientific study so we can just figure out like where the audacity came from.
Where
Oh,
the
you
goal,
should-
where
you
the
should-
unmitigated goal came from.
you should see this comment because he like goes in. It's like almost a paragraph, and he mentions Ingwe and Finwë.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
gosh.
bro, like, what are you like? I know this stuff, and I'm almost, I like, that's why I honestly knew better. That's why I popped in the live earlier just to get that answer. And then I just like hung on around for the ride, to be honest. Like, I just like,
Needed to
I-
hear it.
I needed the confirmation because I knew I was right. And I was like, where's this bozo even think he's getting this shit from? Like, what, how do you even like type that and think, oh yeah, I'm right? Like, just because you throw in Finwë, Inway, and like that doesn't make you right.
Right. Like
Right.
I know some words.
Yo,
Let me
like in
list them.
Google,
ooh,
If anything,
Galadriel.
Tolkien Gateway.
Jesus.
If
Christ.
anything, it proves him wrong by saying Finwë and Ingwe. So Finwë is Galadriel's grandfather, and it's Celebrimbor's great grandfather. So right there, it leads to you believing that. Now, is it possible that he's older? But no, but
It's not. She's older. Whether
the
it's
cousins
like,
are all around the same age,
yes,
close to each other's age.
yes,
But
They were like siblings. They said they were all like brothers and sisters. Like
Yes.
so they all grew up around each other. Celebrimbor is a child of Horfin, who was one of the cousins, who was like a sibling to Galadriel. So therefore, Galadriel's older. Not that hard.
yeah. Sorry, y'all.
well, I'm
I
glad
should've
we got
gone
to the
on that
bottom
one.
of that.
Yeah, god damn. I was
But Callie,
Where
in
did
you
I screw this up
mentioning
before?
like
Oh.
the cultists and the mystics, I mean, I do think it's crazy because it's like they were so brief, but I feel like pretty impactful, like especially thinking about like people wanting to do cosplays and recreate these characters. Was it like from that perspective, was it kind of disappointing that they kind of poofed in episode 8, or are you hopeful that they're coming back?
I guess I'm not feeling particularly hopeful that they'll come back, but
I think we're gonna see more of their order or whatever they
Mhm.
are.
yeah,
I think so
don't
too.
think they'll
yeah, that's you got it
specifically-
there. Yeah. But
Yeah, I was thinking
they
the
were
same thing.
cool. Yeah. I hope we see
Yeah.
more of their order. You're right there, Golden
Yeah.
Boy. That's
Um,
good shout. Yeah.
I was saying in another podcast, well, where did they get the information about the Astard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
That's a
somebody
good
had to tell him
question.
that. We were thinking maybe Alan Sauron Palando. We were thinking a bunch of things.
Right.
Because who would know that? Oh,
Right.
that is the other. Why would they? It's not like the Valar are like, hey guys, we're gonna tell you. They
Right.
didn't tell the Valar didn't tell anybody they're sending the Astari. The
For
Astari
that,
knew.
I mean, even with Waldreg said, you know, the sign of the meteor is the sign that Sauron's coming back. So we know
Right.
that other like places have like different mythos and legends of what's going to happen. So we don't know much about Rune, but maybe in Rune they have prophecies about, you know,
Might
one
be.
following the other. You know, we don't know, and so they took a gamble. They said, hey, this must be Sauron, and they were wrong. I don't know. We'll find out more
Yeah.
hopefully when
Mhm,
we get
mhm.
to Rune.
Absolutely. You're right, Jeff.
You know, one
You say that one
thing
more
that I
time?
wasn't. Yeah, say
Just
we gotta
one
make
more
sure we get
time,
that
Newt.
clear. Just one more time.
Wait, what happened?
Can you say that I was right one more time?
Just
You're
so
right,
everyone
Jeff, you're
knows.
Get that
Make
on
sure
the
we
record.
isolate that. That's
We'll
yeah.
never
That's
say
the
that shit
that's the
again.
clip. Yep.
That's the clip. Clip it.
So
Clip it.
one thing that a lot of people did not love about the cultists, but looking back, I actually really liked about them was how little we got about them. But to me, the show had a problem, which was over explaining things. Mithril, I'm looking at you.
Yes.
But not explaining the cultists was awesome. That's like seeing Baldur scraping at the door in the Paths of the Dead and not getting any more information than that. Like that's that's beautiful to me. Like there should be mysteries that we never get an answer to. So I
Yeah.
hope we see their order, but I hope we don't get everything laid out on a red carpet with everything perfectly explained. It shouldn't be that way always.
I
And I know
agree.
that feels
Yeah.
weird for a modern
Yeah.
TV audience. Like people expect to know things, but I don't care. This is a Tolkien adaptation. Like we should have some things that are left to our own devices for.
Like
Yeah.
Nick, not to put Star Wars into this, but it's like the whole like Yoda thing. We don't want to know
Yes.
about Yoda. We don't want to know anything about Yoda's creatures. like,
Midichlorians.
species or anything. We don't
Oh
want
my
to
God.
know.
Apologize, everyone,
wanna know
for Luke. He can't help himself. Even when we
it
take him in
fit
the
in.
back and we smack
It's
him
not like I
around and we say,
forced
Luke,
it.
don't talk about Star Wars. We're talking about
it's-
Lord of the Rings. This
It
is a
is
Lord of the Rings
perfect.
podcast, Luke.
It
was
is.
To be fair, I have
Perfect.
urges to bring up House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones like every 5 seconds, but
Your
I
urges and what you do are two
Honestly,
different
you
things.
should.
You keep your urges to yourself. You sit there in your chair and your cat licks itself. It's fine. Luke,
Breathe. Blur your
cat is
background.
Sauron.
There you go. No, keep the chair there. Keep the chair over. Over. No, left.
Oh my
Or-
thank
god.
God we aren't
no.
on TikTok or we get a ban. We get a community fucking strike
That's
right now.
that's one of 7 cats he owns. Just FYI.
Yeah.
that's Daisy
Seville go
Doolittle
back
with
there.
a half a tail.
Oh,
Aw.
Jesus.
That's a great
Um,
name.
That is a great name.
She
That
might
is awesome.
attack me if I try and pick her up, but
Yeah.
It was
my
me who I'm like Sauron in this podcast. I have
Yes.
befuddled everything. I
Wow.
apologize.
Thanks a lot. Well, why would you apologize if you were like Sauron?
That's the
Um,
point. That's
as
the
you've
point.
seen,
That's
Sauron
the
can
point. I'm the
apologize too.
deceiver. You think I'm a nice guy, and then I turn around and I stab you in the back. Duh.
I don't generally assume white guys are nice when I first meet them.
Hey,
That is
there you go.
fair. That is a good assumption. That is a fair assumption. I
That's a
don't blame
safe way
you.
to live.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
say that because I'm assuming you're not an asshole.
I'm not. I try not to be.
You know, I was also just kind of thinking about how we see very little of Numenor, but in this episode, but at the same time, it kind of feels like important shit is happening,
Yes.
Yes.
setting up for next season.
Yes.
Oh,
Callie, how do you
Numenor.
feel about the black flags?
So a lot of people were confused. They thought that it meant that Fadason had taken over and that they were his sigil, but it's just
Yeah, no.
that
Warning,
the
right?
king is dead, correct?
Yeah, just that the king is
Sure.
dead. For those who don't know, Farazan and Muriel are first cousins. They would have the same, everything would be the
Yep.
same anyway. They wouldn't even
Right.
have different sigils or anything.
But when
Their fathers and
Farazan was
brothers-
like standing next to the king's bed, I was like, "Are you about to smother him? Like, are you speeding this
I thought the same
along?"
thing.
I
Hey,
was like, "You're making me uncomfortable."
let's just talk about this. Hold on. So like when the daughter, I can never pronounce her name right.
Aadian.
Aadian is sculpting, and then he
freaking
wakes
love
up,
her.
and then she's like going to get the person, then he's fucking gone. I was like, damn, he's sick, but he can move. He
Yeah, I
can
was like, that's good
move.
moving right
He
there.
can move.
But
It's
I'm gonna pull a Luke right now
oh
and
Uh-oh.
talk about something different. But I was like, damn, how the fuck in House of the Dragons and Lord of the Rings, both of these women misinterpret what the dying king is saying to him in the last second.
Yes.
And it
The
both
old
happened
man
in the
always
last episode that we
assuming
see.
they're talking to
Now,
somebody else.
Allison was looking for an excuse. She both purposely and not purposely misinterpreted it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She's
Yeah, it's so interesting though with Anadians though, because she's like, he opens up the door, she goes up to like the holy grail of where like everything is stashed, and they purposely pull us out of that moment because it leaves it open ended, because this
Yeah.
entire season she's like, we're all like, okay, she's part of the Kingsmen, like she's
Jesus.
fully in the camp, but
Yep.
then she touches she could touch the Palantir, see the vision, and it could go either way. It could be she's more in the camp of the Kingsmen, or she backtracks and starts becoming part of the faithful because of what he says. We're going away from, if we keep going away from our beliefs, then we're gonna it's gonna end badly for us.
Unrelated,
So-
I love the actor for her.
Yes.
I
freaking
now
love
I
her.
have
She's
a theory
killing
since
it.
you just said that. Now the fact that Muriel is blind and she can't move all that shit by herself, and if
Mm.
Pharazôn goes up there, he's taking the Palantir.
Oh yeah,
We know
absolutely.
that. So I think she's going to actually revert back to the
faithful?
and she's going to take the Palantir and all the good stuff back to her family's hideaway.
And then is she gonna replace an Anarion then?
I don't think she's going to replace Anarion, but I think
He's
she's an architect,
somewhere.
and maybe she's the one who builds Gondor and freaking.
Which makes sense because she is supposed to be an architect.
You know,
We
I don't
learned
know.
that early on.
Just saying some.
Oh,
some
that would
things.
be so cool
It
if
would
she's
be.
the architect behind her two brothers' cities.
Yes,
Like, oh,
that is
how cool
aw-
would that be?
That
That
is
would be
freaking
cool.
perfect.
Maybe she designs Orthanc. Like,
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
See?
Because we still need to see those getting built.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
like,
just-
you know,
I'm
That's
kind of
cool.
wondering when.
just remember, KnewBetta said these things. You know.
Yes, yes.
He's right with
Glad
this,
we're
I was saying-
recording.
No, if he's right on that too, I'm telling you, this guy has to have spies over there because he's saying the whole is Theo's the Witch King. No, we gotta do some investigations on KnewBetta here.
Theo is the
There's
witch
gonna be
bro.
sanctions. There's gonna
Listen
be
to
there's gonna be
KnewBetta what I'm telling
sanctions.
you. I
There's gonna
smelled
be
it. Look how big my
sanctions.
nose is. I smelled
No,
that shit.
no, we're gonna need to investigate this man if
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
right on
we're
that.
gonna have to get a committee. We're just gonna be like, all right, we the committee find
Foul
you better
play.
do better. Foul play, charged with 0 TikTok lives in the next year.
There you go. So I gotta shout out our boy Tim at the
Yes.
Bard of Arda. He had a really good, it's not a theory, it's just an interesting parallel. So we know they don't have the rights to Unfinished Tales,
Yes.
but there's plenty of allusions to it.
Mhm.
And is Aarion in some way a stand-in for Arendis? People that she
Ooh.
loves are going off to Middle Earth and she's staying behind and like, no, don't fucking leave. Stop fucking leaving, everybody. But she's a stand-in for that. So not 1-to-1, but a little bit of that, like, I'm
Little
torn, I'm
info.
tied to my land.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. And if you don't know the story of Aldarion and Arendis, go read Unfinished Tales. It's great.
Yeah. I think it's similar in a way, like it's similar to the Nimrodel Amroth
Yes.
tale as well. Yes.
Yep.
So
and
Yep.
and I
Getting a
can see
nod to that.
and I
Yeah.
could see her. I could see her doing both. I would rather her be part of the faithful because I feel like Elendil's
Right.
family needs to be part of the faithful. Like that's just
Me too.
that's just how I feel. But like if she did stay with the Kingsmen, that's just another thing on Isildur's mind when he takes the ring. My father's been killed by this evil. My sister was killed by this evil. My brother was killed by this evil. I deserve this ring.
That's a good
feel
point.
I feel like that could be another one. But I personally would love for her to stay with the faithful, because I feel like family needs to stay together.
Right.
Come on, like
I would hate for her to not, because I like her too much. I do not want to
agree.
have her be like an enemy.
no, yeah,
I want her
absolutely.
torn. I want her to be
Yes.
torn between the two. I want conflict internally.
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
she should fall on the right side, but like get
Kemen's gonna
pulled
make
back
it.
and
Kemen's
forth.
gonna make it a hard. He's gonna make it hard
Kemen's
for her.
gonna push and pull.
And-
Kemen's
and
gonna push
she's-
Fucking
Impressed
murdering
by-
horses.
Agreed,
Oh my
asshole.
god.
fucking guy.
Fucking guy. God.
But it's
All right,
also like we know that she's, impressed by Farazan and his ability to switch. You know what I mean? And
In the crowd.
Fucking Farazan. I
She
hate
said
that
it.
motherfucker than anything
The,
else in
um,
this goddamn show. He is such a snake. He's such
But
a
I
snake.
love
and
that
he's-
about him.
I
Uh-huh.
agree. That's the
it's
good.
so
That's the
cool.
point. That's the point. You as a villain, if people love to hate you, you've done your job correctly.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the way he's just like positioning himself, and he's just like the way he's looming over Tal Palantiri's body. He's like, this is my that's his beginning of his villain origin story. He's like, this is where we begin. And
See,
this
but
is
I
where-
also saw grief in his face. So I
It's
think
still his uncle.
yeah,
it's still his uncle. But grief is a great motivator for villains' stories
Yes.
too.
Mhm.
So I think it can
Absolutely.
be one and the same. I'm excited to grab the power, but I'm also excited, or I'm also sad that my
Devastated.
uncle's gone. Yeah, devastated.
absolutely, yeah.
So-
I mean, not to put
That's
another
that's
Star
like
Wars name.
Vaymond.
Yes.
Vader.
Have As
And
I,
also
sit here
just-
That way as
playing,
well.
as I sit here playing with my wedding ring, it
Oh no.
reminds me that we have 3 beautiful rings made in this episode, and I want to pass this to Kali and ask her, because she has the 3 elven rings. What did she think
Mhm.
of the design of the 3 elven rings of power?
Well,
Uh-oh.
first of
We're gonna
all,
get
like the making of
controversial.
them was really like it happened very quickly, I
Very
thought.
fast. It was very
So
lackluster.
fast.
Yep.
But it's like the whole show, and then it's suddenly like, oh, boop, here at the end. Here you go. Here's the namesake of the show.
Yeah, I did not like that.
I want to see them more in detail, because all we really get is the shot of them sort of lying there, all 3 of them. But
Yeah.
Right.
I guess,
Which is
yeah, like, so they kind of made a big deal of the mithril going into the 3 of them. It doesn't not, I guess, that the other 2, so we know for sure that Nenya, Galadriel's ring
matches.
is definitely made with the mithril. The other 2, though, were kind of like unknowns. So, I mean,
Right.
technically, it doesn't say that they were not made with mithril, so
True.
or not made of Valinor and gold and silver. So, that's fine.
Silver and gold.
But yeah, I just
Silver
can't
and
wait to
gold.
see them
Above.
more up close, and I'm afraid I'm probably gonna have to be in the market for 3 more.
Well,
3 more replicas.
That's
the
once they
question.
come out with
Yeah.
those.
Callie, you know
'Cause-
what's the best
yeah.
part about that?
What?
Is that I love the choice of the camera panning, like looking from them from above, because we see that in the prologue of Fellowship.
Mm.
Especially with, I think it's not the 3 rings, but it's the dwarven rings that they do the pan down shot of all the dwarves grabbing those rings. And
Mhm.
I thought that was so well done in just like looking at it, and I was just like, oh, that's what that reminds me of.
That's so interesting. I've had so many moments like that with the Peter Jackson movies where
Yes.
I'm like, all right, they're not into Peter, but I'm kind of like, could you stop now?
yeah. Please start making something of your own. Stop making
Andy's
references.
on her shit today. She is not
Uh,
playing around.
Well, I
No,
just
no
am
one-
like, it was cute at first, but now I'm kind of like, all right, y'all are like big Peter Jackson fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was that article that came out. I was like, oh, they didn't talk to Peter about it. I'm like, they didn't need to talk to Peter about it. They're like
already
all
knew
up in Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? And they've admitted to being like movie fans primarily, like first before anything. And like, and I get that, and I get the inclination to do that, but at the same
Yeah.
time, like, I don't know, I worry about it a little bit, in that like previously like we know that all adaptations kind of build on each other. Like we know that Peter took a lot of inspo from the backsheet versions. Like we see a lot of shot for shots. So, you know, it's like fun. I just would like it. I don't know if they're listening to this, but if they are, like, I just be like wary of that. You know what I mean? As so far as like, because it is a different age. And I think that because we are both using Lord of the Rings as our like main text, and so we are having a lot of the same themes come through, that it, and I think that's fine, but it's just like I think that there is a little bit more to explore, and there's some things where it's like there's a few too many moments for me at this point where it's like feeling a little more same. But I think that I'm hopeful that season 2 they, you know, kind of expand and they grow from, you know, this is just season 1, and I think that there are so many epic shows like this where it's kind of like you're not always guaranteed like an amazing season 1, and there's been a lot of points that I have enjoyed. There've been a lot of points that I've been like, it's fine, you know, and so I'm really excited to see like where they go from here, like how do they take it and run with it.
And I feel like that's very, very, like a lot of shows first seasons aren't the best seasons. And I feel like that's a very common thing, because it's like, let's be real, they're doing a lot of setup in these first couple of seasons. There's not like a ton of things that are big action packed, like there's more moving parts and more dialogue in first seasons. And I feel like you need that to set up a 50-hour television show. You are going to have those moments where they are having a little bit more dialogue, and people that don't like that, okay, then this show's not for you. Like it's just the way it is. Not everything's going to be pow pow shoot shooting arrows. You know
And
what
it shouldn't
be. It's like Tolkien is very like, even if you look at the source material, the Battle of Helm's Deep is what, a paragraph, maybe not even a page.
It's like a couple pages.
It's a short ass chapter.
It's a short battle. Like there's not much written about it.
Yeah.
But they managed to get a whole, what, in the extended editions, it's what?
It's not a 45-minute battle in the extended edition. Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah. So it's like, you have to
but the
look
context
at
of the battle is that it is long in the it's not narratively wrong written, but it is a long battle. So you got to be careful when you say stuff like that, because they could say, oh, the battle, like, look at the War of Wrath. The War of Wrath was like 7 years long or some crazy shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
And by the time we get to the end of the Second Age, I mean, we've got like a 7-year siege of battle. Like,
I was gonna say,
things will be long. But I think
Daggerlad is true.
But like something to keep in mind, I would say, when it comes to adapting Tolkien, and like especially for this version, is that in Lord of the Rings, while we do have these epic battles, but he really focuses on like the interpersonal moments within those battles. And he also focuses, I feel like there's a lot more to be said about the aftermath of war, and not so much sticking with like staying in the battle too long in the book, you know what I'm saying? So I hope that they are, I'm sure that they've like are aware of that, and so that's kind of what should be a part of the equation as well, whereas Peter is just like everything, notch it up to like a 20, and then everything's good afterwards.
Let's not downplay Peter Jackson's ability to take one chapter, Battle of the Five Armies, and make a whole freaking movie out of it. So
agreed.
We're not gonna talk about The Hobbit today. I can't.
I just did.
So here's my
I'm not ready.
Andy grabs her tea and she's like, I can't.
Here's my question though. So do we think we see the fall of Numenor next season, or do we see it season 3?
No.
Because we got to have at least 2 seasons of Elendil, Isildur, and Narion building up Arnor and Gondor, right?
I want to say season 3.
I think
three?
maybe season 3, maybe.
So,
I was gonna say 4.
Honestly.
Really? I want to.
Look at it was 15 minutes making rings that should take what? I don't know how long it takes to forge things, but that was
true. But I feel like
I mean, they did a wink to that. Like Celebrimbor was like, "Oh, this should take 3 centuries," and it's like,
didn't do enough for me. Let me just tell you that. Let me just say that he was not doing enough. He was more like, "Oh yeah,
he was supervising
every fucking thing with the 3. Celebrimbor made the 3 alone.
Right.
Like, he should have been doing everything. And I seen the fucking Smiths over there going like this. Bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
Yeah,
He should have been making them rings, man.
I agree.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But I liked the little apron though. His apron was dope.
Yeah, his outfit was great. I
He
love
finally
that he
got a
got
little
another
outfit
outfit.
change.
Yeah. But Nick, you also have to think about like, yes, the rings are important, but like you're talking about civilizations. Like I feel like
Right.
you like that.
That's
you
true.
you need to have at least 2 seasons to build out, because those 2 areas are so pivotal in this story at the
You're
end,
right.
towards the end.
And
I feel
honestly,
like 2
when we're
seasons
thinking
would be
about
working it.
Elendil and his sons like settling in Arnor and Gondor, it's like that's a lot of place and a lot of
Yes.
things to
Literally.
build.
Yes.
You know, because it's like I want to see Amon Sul looking good and not just like a broken crown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Me too.
And I also want to see.
I want to see all these places. I want to see
Yeah.
Fornost. I want to
Minas
see
Ithil at its height.
Minelas. I want to
Yes.
see all.
and I want
I
to
do
see.
too.
I want to
Numenor,
see like
I said
the
Numenor.
point where. So here's
Yeah,
the
not
thing
Fornost
that
yet.
has been bothering me about the show in general, because when I first said compressing the timeline, I'm like, no worries, I get it, you know. But what they've
Yeah, it
done is that they've instead of quickly going through all of the phases, I would say like peace, war, it's kind of like all like happening at the end of the timeline.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
but I do think that there does need to be some kind of like moment where it's like, hey, we're rebuilding, like Sauron doesn't have a body anymore, like they feel like
Yeah.
he's gone, you know, Numenor's over, that's sad, but it's like, so we have to build, but they also are watchful, so like they are building Cirith Ungol and the Morannon, you know, like the Black
Yep.
Gates, and it's like they're keeping a watch on things, and so I want them to be dealing with that like watchful peace kind of moment before things start trickling
hits the
back
fan.
in. Yeah.
I do want to point out that it does say in the Akala that they don't found the kingdoms of Middle Earth until after the fall of
Right. That's what
Right.
I'm
Numenor.
saying.
So
Yeah,
it's
so I would
yeah.
that's why I'm thinking that's season 3. Season 3 finale is the fall of Numenor. And then
So
we
let's
get
do
into-
like a super high level predictions, not nitty gritty stuff, but like, okay, so what's season 2?
Season 2. Well,
Ring
so
rates.
people, yeah, I
Yeah.
would say ring rates.
Gotta
I
be
would
ring
say-
rates.
I would say
Gotta.
I would say ring rates. So like people are like, I first said this, and I will admit that I am completely off fucking base after seeing episode 7. Like, I was like, oh yeah, they could do Fall of Khazad-dûm in the Second Age if they wanted to, but then it's like that contradicts everything. You
It
know what I
does.
mean? It contradicts, because like if they're gonna bring the Balrog in that early, like that takes away from them helping Oregion. That like that's all Third Age stuff. Like
Sauron would fucking win because the Balrog
Yeah,
would be on
exactly.
the side, and then
Exactly.
he would just win.
Yeah. So like people are
Yep.
like, oh, that's gonna happen. I'm like, no, because it's like there's 2 things in the show that they did as the long run, right? These are like hints to later events that are going to happen. The Balrog
Yeah.
is for sure one of them. And I can't remember what the other one was, but it was the same way. But like the Balrog for sure, like everybody's like, oh, why would they bring in the Balrog? It's like, it's because it's a nod. That's what it's meant to be. Like you have to remember, we hear in Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf says they delve too greedily and too deep, and the Balrog awaited in the Third Age. That's what the hint is. Like they just did that as like a basic Easter egg. I feel like, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
I mean, you
Yeah.
look at where they were mining in Mithril, and then you look how far that leaf went
Chasm went
down.
down. Yeah.
It went
That's
down
a
a
good
long way.
point.
So we also know that they mined Mithril for a while. Like we know that a lot of things are made out of Mithril, and so they have to mine it more before they get down to.
We need the doors of Durin.
Yes,
Right?
The doors,
More.
Yeah.
So give me
Speaking of
Narvi.
Mithril-
Give me fucking Narvi. Damn it.
I think we
But it
see
is. So I
in
think the
second.
Second Age is going to be, Anatar coming over, making it 16. The Nazgul getting, I think like maybe 4 episodes they're going to do that. Then 4 episodes we might get the start of the war, or maybe the last episode we get the start of the war, or whatever the case may have you. You know what I'm saying? We already can't.
The
My bad.
Region.
No, you're
We
fine.
already can't get Numenor coming to help the first time, so we're going to get Numenor coming to help right then, and then they're going to take Sauron.
Right.
So then in season 3,
Yeah.
we can get the whole lead up where Sauron
Yes.
happens to blah blah blah,
Yes.
and then at the end of
Yeah.
season 3,
Yeah.
Numenor gets destroyed. With season 4, we get the
I agree.
Arnor, Gondor being built, and we get the establishments of everything all up to there. And then
Agreed.
season 5, literally, we can get
The
the
last alliance.
alliance.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
thinking too.
think so.
The
Season
last
2, I feel-
alliance, oof,
yeah.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, season 2 is definitely gonna be. I feel like it's us. Like NewBetta said. Like, first of all, we have one big thing: Isildur. We still don't know where Isildur is at the end of this
Right.
season. So I feel like Elendil is going to be very much like, we got to go back. We got to go back. We got to go back. Because I feel like he has like, he is like really, really like, he feels like he's dead. But then again, I feel like he hasn't lost his faith. When he talks to Muriel in this last episode, it just affirms that he is on the camp of the faithful. So it's like, it would be very much out of character for him to be like, oh, my son's dead. I feel like Elendil at his core is like, he's alive.
I love
He's
that
so very alive.
he said, that's not all my name meant.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
That's a
Yeah.
good line.
Yes.
So I
That callback to what was that, episode 3, right? Where they were
Yes.
talking about
She
the
asked
two
him his
meanings
name.
of it.
Like his name
Yeah.
like means like fucking faithful.
Yeah.
no,
Like,
yeah,
It means
absolutely.
Elfriend. It
Yeah,
literally
Elfriend,
means
like,
Elfriend.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like
which are the faithful. Like the Elfriend.
you cannot get more faithful than being an
No,
Elfriend. Yeah, that's
It's
Yeah.
right.
like, and here's the other thing. So then, do we think Anarion comes in next season
I think
to
that
go
too.
with them
I
to
think
find a
so.
seal door? I feel like that is the perfect, like, all right, we've had
We
our
know we're also
differences.
getting Kierdan.
Yes,
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're getting Adar. We're gonna get, we have to get Sauron building his base in Mordor. We have to get that sooner or
Yes.
later as well. So that
Yes,
could be seasons 2
absolutely.
and 3.
Yeah, I
I'm
think Adar's gonna get.
definitely, yeah.
No, go
I'm
ahead,
just, I was just gonna say, like, I'm definitely interested in the Adar Sauron like rematch. 'Cause
Yes.
obviously,
Yes.
like that moment with them was really tense in this season,
Yes.
and Adar's like he's like, the math ain't mathing, but what is this? You know, and so then
Yeah.
he's gonna be like, oh my god, I can't.
Because when someone with a completely new face asks you, "Do you remember me?" Of course he's not gonna remember you. You look totally different.
Right.
So that was a totally stupid question. But anyways.
But I also think that like the question around the orcs is gonna come back into play, and I like
Yes.
that
Yep.
scene with Adar and Galadriel was everything. It was one of my
So
favorite
good.
parts of this season, and so like I think here we're gonna see like more about. I hope that we see more about like what the orcs are thinking, because they're gonna have
Yes.
like a choice. Well, I don't really think they will have a choice. I think that Sauron's gonna crush
And
Adar
that's
at this
Oh,
one
point.
of the
absolutely.
essences of Sauron is I'm not giving you a choice. And
Mhm.
this is what it is. And you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been saying it for the last few days. Like the orcs loathe the master that they serve. Very opposite of what Adar is.
Yep.
And you see that in Lord of the Rings. They're like, fuck, I don't want to do this shit, but
I know.
whatever. But they're still evil
Yeah.
though. They're still
Oh
very
yeah,
much
absolutely.
evil on their own and shit, doing whatever they're doing. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's weird. So it's a slippery slope with the
I like
understanding of
it.
that. But Adar
They're
makes
evil, but they're not
Adar makes it
slaves.
so much more like
They have
gut-wrenching and
autonomy.
hard. Yeah, they
Yeah,
like
they do have
man,
autonomy.
these
No.
guys
Yeah.
are they want to just live, you know?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think it's
yeah.
gonna be like I think I almost want them to play with the idea of like us sympathizing with the orcs for the first time. I know they tried to like plant that seed a little bit here, and so then I think it's gonna be a little sad when Adar goes. I think there's been a lot of Adar stands
I
on
think Sauron's
Twitter.
gonna have a big display of power and they're gonna freaking
Yeah, I
burn
mean
their knees.
they're just gonna be like,
Sorry,
what are we gonna
Benjen.
do?
Sauron's power. Like I can't
Yeah.
wait to see
Sorry, Benjen. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Benjen. You're getting killed for a second time. Like he's like now becoming Sean Bean and all Sean Bean
Yeah.
and all these shows. Like,
Yeah.
God damn it, I get the minimal screen time. But like honestly, the way he has done Adar, I feel like his character is perfect because he
Mhm.
is, for how little screen time he is given, he knocks it out of the park.
Amen.
One of the
So
best
freaking
performances
good.
in the whole season. He's
Absolutely.
incredible.
he saved in
Absolutely.
episode 6. He saved. I feel like he saved the series. Like with
Yeah.
his talk with Galadriel is like really the saving grace of everything. Like you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying. And big shout out to Arondir too because
Yes, Arondir.
and shout out to
Yes.
him for being a regular elf.
Yes.
Yes.
Agreed.
Being just a regular elf and with seeing what he's doing. It
Doing
helps
it
that
so well.
he's not caught up in the whole Sauron thing or none of that, but he's just being regular, helping people, helping his people. Like it's
Yep.
it's amazing to see that. Like,
Yeah.
whereas like Legolas is the Prince of the Elven Realm and and used to Thranduil and this one in Glorfindel, and he's regular Billy Bob elf that's just helping.
Yeah.
So
Billy Bob
is-
Elf, I love it.
Is Sauron gonna just abandon the whole thing because he has a bunch of loyal followers in the Southlands right now because they were all bowing to him,
Men
and because
men worship him.
I do want to call out that he has told one lie when Bronwyn says, "Are you the king that we've been waiting for?" and he goes, "Yeah, I am." That's a lie. It's a lie.
I mean, it is and
well,
isn't
is
a
it?
lie at the same time.
She
Because
asked him,
remember,
are you the king that I've been waiting for?
yeah,
She didn't say, "Are you the king of the Southlands that we've been waiting for?" She said, "Are you the king you've been waiting for?"
Are you the king that was promised, right? Something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, jeez.
Sauron, one of his
that.
titles is the king of the world, king of men is one of his titles, and that's actually why Farazan gets mad at him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's true.
Farazan.
That's
Okay.
true.
Farazan, that petty
Okay.
bitch.
So
But yeah, we still have that. We got Sauron being busy. We got
but
Pelargir, we got
Pelargir,
building.
yeah, they're going to
building
Pelargir.
Mordor,
So,
and then we
Mhm.
got the rings.
Yeah.
So yeah, go on, Nick.
Oh, I was just you said Pelargir, and I was like, yeah, that's we've got that coming, which is great because that's hopefully where we get some Black Numenorian insertion.
Yes.
Not black,
which would be
black.
really cool.
But black.
Not black. Well, everyone, they're non-discriminatory with who they're casting, which I'm all for.
Yeah, exactly.
So guys,
yeah.
overall, so we can wind this thing down.
Mhm.
What is your overall feeling of each of you, starting from Callie, going to Andy, going to Nick, then Golden Boy, Luke, and then Jeff, and then I'll do mine. What is your overall feeling of how season 1 went? Callie, go.
So I know that a popular thing to do is to rate it on the 10-point scale. And I think that I'm comfortable saying I was very happy with it. There were a couple episodes where I was only happy with them after I'd rewatched them.
Yeah.
It's something funny was happening there. I'm not sure. Might have to talk to my therapist about that. But overall, like I was very happy with it. I'm just looking forward to more. Is sort of where I'm left with is all these things that we've been talking about in the last 10 minutes or so. I just want more, and I don't want to have to wait like 2 or 3 years for it, but
Yeah.
I will wait as
I
long as I
know.
have to. But no, overall I was very happy with it. I can't wait to watch it. Episodes 1 through 8. I haven't done that yet.
Ooh, yeah.
And I think that a lot of the themes will come together as a more full concept for me once I do that.
Yeah.
Andy?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that overall they're not dissimilar to any adaptation where there are things that I really enjoy, there are things that I was surprised by that I really liked, things that I didn't particularly love. I feel like it's like a solid start, and that I don't feel like I can really judge it until we have another season. As far as like, I feel like it's been groundbreaking and historic in a lot of different ways, but as far as how much is this going to be a show that I like 10 years from now am obsessed of still like talking about, like the same way that I am with like the Lord of the Rings movies, I don't know. But I do think that there is a lot of great things to look forward to. The actors have been fucking stunning, like absolutely knocking it out of the park. I think that the whole cast and crew have obviously put a lot of love into this and a lot of thought into the story that they're telling, and which I really appreciate. And like obviously I would have probably made some different decisions, but ultimately like it's been a really fun ride, and I love the way that it has helped bring more people to Tolkien, and it provided us to more ways to connect and have something new to talk about. Like we haven't had something like this in a really long time. So I think it's been a really fun ride, and definitely looking forward to more. But as far as like is this my favorite TV show? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there have been some shows that you watch immediately and you're like, yes, like I'm upset. Like, you know, and I think this one and maybe it's just been like fantasy overkill this fall with like House of the Dragon and Laura. Like, I feel like I had to watch all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
think
I feel
that's
that
been
deep
hard.
down. I feel that
Fair.
deep down. I agree with that so much.
So Nick,
Yes.
what's your thoughts, Nick?
Yeah. After this episode, I'm gonna give the season a B plus. Fuck that 10-point scale.
I didn't do
Because
it.
I was with everybody like 5 and 7, meh. But upon rewatching, they were awesome. And I was actually looking at the who directed what episodes. You know who directed my least favorite episodes upon reflection was Wayne Yip. He did 2, 3, and 7, and maybe one other one. He made it feel a little too disjointed action for me, if that makes sense. And like looking back, 5 was actually a really well directed episode. I didn't like the mithril thing, but like just as an episode of television, it was good. Like it was well written and well acted, performed, directed, etc. So yeah, I was a big fan of it. I'm kind of with you, Andy. Like, am I gonna want to rewatch it every week the way I did with the PJ adaptations when I was, in middle school? No, probably not. But I'll revisit it. I intentionally have not watched House of the Dragon because of what you just said, though. Like, I didn't want to get overloaded. I wanted to give
promised
both
Anna.
shows. And you have a reason to. I'm
Yeah.
about to go binge it all. And then that was my last thing, which is a critique of the show is how it's written feels like we should have just gotten all 8 episodes in one go, or maybe like split it 4 and 4, just drop them all, because being able to binge it, like watching 2 episodes, one after the other, I really liked every episode. If I could watch the one before it or the one after it immediately, if that makes sense.
I feel
Gotcha.
that.
Yeah.
I completely understand that from a Netflix binging. Like that's
Standpoint.
that's what
Yeah,
we're so
Stranger
used to
Things,
now. Now
right?
we're so used to that.
Instant
but like,
gratification.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Mhm.
they
But it was
strengthen each other.
written
The
like
episodes, the episodes strengthen each other.
So it was written in that way. But if you're watching
Yeah.
it week by week, you kind of,
Yeah.
even if you remember everything, the emotion isn't there. It's not
Isn't there,
sitting
yeah.
with you.
So you're like,
Yeah.
wait, what's going on? Golden
You're
Boy.
right.
I enjoyed it. But like I said, it was just like obviously the finale a bit anticlimactic. Is that the word for it? Just like, but obviously we were describing the first season is always going to be like that. It's usually going to be lighter
Right.
and stuff. Honestly, the highlight of the entire show for me, I know a lot of people disagree with it, Jeff. But like Sauron and Halbrand. I just loved throughout the picking up on those details, talking about those little things he was doing, even if they're obvious. I loved
Loved it.
talking about the whole, because that's Sauron. That's what he does, and I just
Yes.
that was the highlight for the show for me.
Agreed.
Just Sauron.
Nice.
My man Luke.
I would say
Let's keep a time limit on this thing, Luke. I know you're very long-winded.
no. I
say over here.
if I had to give it a ranking, it'd be like I'd go with a B plus too, Nick. I completely there's the mithril thing I really could not wrap my head around.
Yep.
That was kind of took me out, but everything else it's stunning. The actors and have just they've taken these roles and really made them their own. And it has been kind of tough because we're covering 3 different shows. So I'm trying to put on 3 different hats, doing 3 different reactions,
Right.
getting on doing 3 different content all at the same time. I hope to God, please, for my sanity and my sleep schedule, please don't release them all at the same time. For the love of God, don't do that to
Release them at
me.
like not midnight.
Yeah, 9 o'clock or Disney Plus. I'm fucking looking at you. Release it at 9 p.m. Make it better so that we can have like a House of Dragon, like Game of Thrones type of hype around it. Because that's the one thing about HBO that I've absolutely loved is that they've taken over that time slot and it wrecks everything. Like that's the only thing that's talked about. And I feel like Rings tried to do that to an extent, but like you have 2 fantasy shows going against each other. And I also didn't like that we're comparing the 2 because they are two very different things. But like overall, I enjoyed Rings a lot, and I can't wait till season 2.
All right, Jeff.
Yeah, let me get my list. No, I'm joking. So for me, I would say it's maybe about 3.5 rings out of 5. I'm
Bad, not bad, not bad.
I'm tempering my looking forward to season 2 after, the good things for me are the interpersonal, like the characters. I think that the writing, the way their dialogue and the way they interact with each other is good. I think there's a couple misfires with, like Andy alluded to, calling back to Peter Jackson a little too much. I think they rely
Yes.
too much, a little too much on who is Sauron and also who is the stranger, and then making it very easy and very lazy to me, that it being Gandalf and it being so easy to tell who Sauron was. For me, if you want to trick someone that is a Lord of the Rings aficionado, you give them some hints, or you give them something blatant, and then you kind of in the background give someone a little less screen time that maybe can come out and be Sauron, but they didn't go that way. That's fine. It's not the way I would have done it. But for me, the mithril thing obviously is another misfire. But I think that as a Lord of the Rings huge fan, I mean, my dog's name is Strider. Gotta get him
That's
in the.
awesome.
Gotta mention him.
Pegaboy.
I think that I'm gonna go into. I'm still gonna watch, but my expectations are not gonna be as high as they were for season 1, just because I have to kind of temper myself, because some of the things were concerning with the way they did it for me.
Understandable.
Said.
I really liked most of the show. But the parts I didn't like, I really didn't like. So like it was tough for me because I wanted to make sure I wasn't the lore guy that was holding on to the lore. I wanted to make sure it's for everybody in this and the third. But some departures were just too much for me. And I just was like, I can't, the mithril, I can't not say anything. I can't just be like, okay with this. So I ended up giving the show, and my highest rating, I'm gonna say, is a 7.5 out of 10. I did the 10 scale. Which is still a great score. But and Andy was one of the people that helped me with this, and even Luke at times, which is strange because he's not smart.
Roasted.
I'm very insightful. I'm very insightful.
I've been nice to Luke. I just want to point out. I've been
Thank
nice
you,
to
Jeff.
Luke.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate
Everybody
that.
knows. Everybody knows.
Everyone knows
I
it's a
didn't say
joke.
anything, Luke.
I'm just the Star Wars guy
I
that's
would
been
go
invited
back-
on the Lord of the Rings podcast.
Yes.
I would go back and catch things that I'd be so upset about, and I'd catch them again, and then I'd be like, oh shit. And then voila. And then actually they come out to be perfectly okay. So that makes me really hopeful. And like, I was so mad about the rings. I was like, oh my God. Oh, I loved most of this episode, but these fucking rings and Celebrimbor and where's Anatar? And I was so mad. And then I was like, oh, season 2, they could do boom, boom, boom. And it would actually work perfectly. And it would strengthen this and strengthen. And I just seen strengthening. And I said, yo, you know what? Shut up, KnewBetta, because that actually works. And they didn't write one season. They already pretty much wrote 5 seasons out.
Right.
They know what's going on. So we got to play the long game like Sauron. So I'm looking very much forward to the next season. I enjoyed what I saw. Some things I have no tolerance for the departure for the mithril and none of that. But what can I do? It's not going to make me hate the show. It is what it is. They made those decisions. I love the actors, and the actors themselves in real life are complete angels and carry themselves with loveliness and grace, and they're just kind people.
You can tell they really care about the characters.
I don't care if you don't like the show, if you don't like their acting, they're good people, and they get a A++ for me for that. And I've met them several times, and they're awesome. Awesome. They're not snooty. They're not Hollywood in any way, shape, or form, and they care about the writing. They do what they can with what they're given, and they care about it, and they learn it, and I just had wonderful conversations with them. So I'm looking forward to season 2. I'm still an advocate very much of the show and what it's got going on. I'm understanding more of what to look for, and I'm excited. So like still a 7.5 because I just some of these departures I just can't. But the parts that I do love, I love to the moon and back. So
yeah, you love them. You love what you saw more than you hate the departures.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I hope that we get in season 2 a little more even, because like it felt like it went from a slow burn to like boiling hot really quickly.
Yeah.
At the very end.
Yeah.
I
And can I just
agree.
say,
The
like,
pacing was a little off.
with Celebrimbor, like, I understand that there was some like recasting stuff that happened, and so that didn't allow us to be with him as much. But these last couple of episodes with Charles Edwards and Celebrimbor, I'm like, man, you doing it? Like, I'm excited to see more of him. I'm excited. I think when Charlie Vickers was able to kind of flip that Sauron switch, I was like, oh, you bet. Okay, so like I'm excited for what everybody's about to like. I think that we've set it up, and so season 2, I'm really hopeful. I think the performances are going to be beautiful, and excited to get to know these characters on another level.
Absolutely.
Same.
Yeah, I wish we would have gotten more of. I think we wish we would have gotten more of Halbrand as Halbrand before he did the turn into Sauron, because it had a. I mean, to this will make Luke happy. Hopefully, it had a little bit of a Palpatine thing going on from from Senator to Emperor. And I felt like they could have leaned into that a little more with him. Going back to Anakin, they could have leaned into it too with, hey, they don't accept you for what you are. You're the warrior, like, but I know who you are. I accept you. Please join me. And they could have done that a little more with maybe we would have believed it a little more and made it a little harder for Galadriel not to
For sure.
That's perfect. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. That warms my little Star Wars heart.
Do you have any words of wisdom for us before we get out of here and we depart from the season 8 finale talk?
No, just that this will be the last of our special episodes until the seasons start up again. Thank you, everybody, past and present right here, who have participated in these Rings of Power reactions. That was really awesome way to get to know all of you as well. And hopefully we'll get all of you again on our regular podcast times, and we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming very shortly.
And everybody, I want you guys to thank Kali for running the reactions.
Yes.
Whether people are here or not, she sets the whole thing up. She's always on top of everybody. She gets it done, and she always has interesting people on there, except for Jeff. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, no, valid. Go follow everybody here. If you're not part of the Voices of Arda Discord, please join. We love you all there. We have a great time.
Yes.
I just don't know. I hope we can continue the momentum. I hope we don't get. It doesn't take 2 years, but we should keep it interesting for. We got NewBetta's college class coming up, so I mean let's keep it interesting for 2 years and keep the interest up there for season 2.
Yeah,
and
guys,
shout out the trivia event next week.
Yeah, I know.
Oh God, is that next week?
I mean, like,
I gotta whip myself into shape over here.
That's what I'm saying.
Callie, what are the
training
details?
montages?
Yes,
Callie, we gotta start promoting this thing here.
It's not so much a training montage as a train coming right at my face montage. That's what it feels like right now, because I am not ready for that.
How do I mark my calendar for this? When, where?
It's on the Discord.
Oh my gosh! Well, yeah, but
next week
I'm doing, Nick,
at 12 Eastern time.
Yes, Sunday, October 23rd, 12 Eastern time for the Tolkien Trivia Showdown #2.
Amazing.
Hopefully it will be the revenge tour, because everybody on NewBetta's team has beat me at trivia one time or another. Barely.
Yes.
We're going to have a load of fun, guys. So I have another podcast coming up soon. Me and Callie are going to be probably doubling up on our podcast in the coming weeks, because now I know she's going to work me double time because we're not doing this. So, which I'm totally fine with. Callie, just remind me of the dates. Don't yell at me. Love you so much. All right.
Or being
And-
alive and then her give you a 15-minute, hey, we podcast 15 minutes, 15
Yeah, I'm
minutes.
sitting
And
like-
me
They're
and
like,
Amber were
"Numenor,
just
she's
like,
talking to
hey,
you." And I'm like, what are
hey,
you talking about?
hey,
I'm not paying any
hey.
attention to the chat.
5
And they're
minute,
like,
5-minute
"I was
warning.
yelling at you. And I'm like, I don't know what about. I didn't do anything. They're like, don't you have a podcast? And I'm like, what? I'm
That's
like, "Damn
on
it."
brand. That is so on brand.
But
Yes.
that's how it works. That's why she's the boss. So
That's right.
Rings of Power may be over. We still got the next 2 episodes of House of the Dragon, episode 9
course,
tonight.
of
No,
course.
all right, all right. You're sliding things
But
in
yeah,
there now.
yeah,
You're sliding
yeah,
things in there.
yeah. Get
Go
out
on
of
the
here.
Make 'em
Get
Golden
outta
Boy
here.
podcast.
Don't act like you
We have
on
6 more episodes of Andor.
Nah,
Come
yeah.
check out our stuff.
I was about to say, not you
selfless
talking, Luke.
plug.
Not you
Selfless
talking.
plug.
All right,
So,
guys.
Things that
We
need to
are
go on
out.
TikTok.
See you
I
later.
need to see Andy as Batman.
Yes.
I'll do it if I
Yes.
have to.
Where is
See you guys. We are out of here.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.